I'm going to go ahead and call into order the meeting for a regular scheduled meeting for the city of San Juan for today, July 12th, 2016, at 6:02. The 2016 national champions for the San Juan RGV Cyclones. If they can come in.
They're outside, they were a little boisterous.
I want them to come in. We're going to find out who exactly these kids are. Can the Cyclones please come in? But minimize wins, okay? Come on forward. They've got a smile on their faces because something great just happened. And the reason that some of you may know some of our folks, and they come from very different areas of our area here in the valley. They started out originally, this group, out of San Juan. During the entire competition that took place, although they're not all from San Juan, the way that they were introduced at every single level of competition was RGV Cyclones of San Juan. And so they brought us great honor because they have actually gone through a whole series of 9 games, I believe is what they played. And at the very end, they are the top of their league. They got the title of 2016 National Champions, and that took place where, Mr. Villalobos?
It was in Dallas, Texas, and Carrollton.
And the final score on that winning game was? 14-4.
14-4.
And these are all nine-year-olds?
11 and under.
11 and under. And so they, like many other kids throughout the valley, they worked very, very diligently. And I am glad that Mr. Villalobos brought this to our attention because they were out there when all this was happening. And as they continue progressing, they brought great notoriety to the city of San Juan. And even though they're not from here, they're now honorary citizens. We're not going to charge you taxes. But I take great pride. I want to congratulate all the coaches for all the work that you did throughout this time, and especially all our young people. If they can just state their names really quickly, starting with our coach at the very end right here, and then just, now maybe you can introduce them all to us, if you will. Introduce everybody. El nombre. Si es que lo sabes, si no, dígales que su nombre en cuando les apunte, ¿eh?
García, en front. Javier Villalobos, Joshua Gutiérrez, Sebastián Sánchez, Mauricio Sánchez, Nathan Sánchez, Ethan Garza, Derek Garza, Antonio Oquendo, Rocky Rodríguez y Adriel Bajato.
¿Y aquí?
Rudy Gutiérrez.
They won at the Texas Stadium. Okay, so they were at the Texas
Well,
Stadium.
they were announced from San Juan, Texas, RGV Cyclones. They won, they had presentations, but the game was in Carrollton. Okay. But it was an amazing experience, and we're very proud of them.
I see they got a championship ring too, huh?
Oh, they
Show up,
did.
kids,
Show it.
show up. Look at that ring. Oh, God.
Bigger than my Aggie ring.
Guys, we're going to take a picture with you real quick.
Get together, guys.
Let me move this one. So that they can take a picture. Move over. Mr. 34? They're not related to me. They probably are somewhere down the line. right, yay. Thank you for being with us, okay? Expect to see you again next year. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Bye-bye. Oh, very good. Next, under presentations, is B, presentation on the Mayfest final report. I'm going to have Mr. Ponce and Mr. Garza. Both of you can come up forward, please.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the commission.
Good evening.
We have before you today just the final revenue and expense report for the Mayfest that was held at the end of May. And what we've done is we've just done kind of just a breakdown of what was spent and then what was brought in. And we just did a comparison to our last event, which was Noche de Paz. So I believe you should have in your packet, and it's also up there on the screen. If you see, as far as what our revenues were, we brought in $6,984.15, and our total city expenditures were $52,954.24. Now, a vast majority of our expenses came from the entertainment. The difference this time, obviously, was that we did not have the support of the EDC, which traditionally usually pays for the entertainment portion of the event. So the city incurred that, and within that entertainment, it also includes the stage. It includes some generators that we had to also procure, and it also some other things that the day of that we were required to procure as well. So if you see the breakdown, we have the breakdown as far as what we brought in as far as food, equipment, what we spent as far as the food, equipment, and supplies. And we've done again a comparison to what was done last for Noche de Paz. Being with the constraints that we had budget-wise, we were able to do the event, I believe, for 45% less.
45% less, yes.
Yeah, with 45% less of the actual budget we had for Noche de Paz, we were able to do this Mayfest event.
Good. Are there any questions?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
It seems that we're always losing out, right, compared to the revenues.
Yes.
And yet, when we have, for example, our baseball advancing, we don't have the money in our budget. Do you think 2 events like these are necessary, or do you think we can scale down so that we can use that funding for when our baseball teams or any youth sports advance out of the valley so that we can help them out? What's your opinion on that?
Well, in my opinion, Commissioner, I think it really just depends on what we're trying to seek out of the event. I think it also depends on the EDC's participation because of, like with this event, it was difficult because we didn't have the same amount of funding. And I think it's going to be very difficult to break even. It may be, and some of the discussions we've had with the committee is it may be one event a year, may be a little more feasible to have maybe a more successful event. It's something that I guess we have to kind of plan out and weigh out, and what is a priority for the city, or what is the purpose of the event. I think the discussion in the past has been, as partnering with EDC, that it's an event to kind of celebrate our businesses and attract, visitors to the community. But there is a lot of competition. I know, for example, like in Noche de Paz, well, there's a lot of events that are kind of scheduled around that time. So we have to definitely capture an audience, and that comes with bringing in, entertainment that we feel will bring in people. But we have things like the Posada that that Hidalgo does that we have to compete with. So I think that, in my opinion, it may be something that the committee and maybe, and with the commission may look at if one event is maybe more viable than doing two, as far as cost effective wise, because the city's spending about $95,000 a year for the events, and if we don't have EDC support, then it may be a little more difficult to continue to do two events.
Go ahead, sir.
If I may throw in, also, we have to be a little cautious because the EDC may be able to do something that the city cannot. For example, with the example you gave about baseball, we can't just a certain group, a certain team. It has to be for, I guess,
Everybody.
like these type of events. So we kind of EDC would want.
Right, and that's what I was gonna mention also, because we stopped doing the movies at the park and stuff like that.
Well, we're still gonna do movies at the park. We haven't done it yet, but we're gonna do movies at the park. Yeah, most definitely, I think in our programs, Commissioner, since we're getting an increase in participation, our costs are going up, and also just the cost of inflation as far as, what we're being charged. I'll give you an example, like for what we pay for umpires. Well, like our neighboring cities, they're paying a little bit more, so then we have to raise our rates to be competitive. And the cost of uniforms and such, we spent this year so far, just on uniforms alone, about $60,000, which is about probably $30,000 more than was when the first bid went out that was initially estimated, just because of the increase in numbers. So we're trying to keep up with the demand as far as the number of kids that we service in comparison to the budget that we have. So we are trying to be as restrictive as possible. And I know that this comes from a different account, but I know also that we can allocate money, differently depending on what we choose to do. But most definitely, we're trying to tighten the belt a little bit. Yeah.
I just want to commend you for being able to do this is almost half the cost, without the assistance of the EDC and for the work that was done. So I think that in that you've shown, fiduciary duty in trying to get the same type of quality of entertainment, and not that just community events, which really it is, for so much less, and I think that is a lesson in itself. So I do want to commend you for having done that and for providing this information.
It was definitely a team effort, Mayor. It was the
Yes.
committee which was comprised of Mr. Juan, Mr. Garza, some of our other directors, our entire staff, the entire city. They worked diligently to make these events happen. And especially with the budgets being what they are, even like with overtime and all that, I mean, we really have to work hard and smart to flex time and to appropriate overtime correctly to make sure that these events get done. So it's definitely a team effort. So.
And for those of us that did go, it was really very enjoyable and enjoyed being out with the community and the public, so. Thank you.
I have a real quick question.
go
for
ahead.
Mr. Ponce. Going back to you mentioned about the $60,000 that you spent on the uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many vendors are we using, or I mean,
Well,
'cause
right-
to
right-
me, that seems a lot of money.
Well, Mayor Pro Tem, right now, we have two that essentially, from what I was told when I started, that I guess they went out to bid and their two were awarded a contract. So essentially what we do is one vendor gets like baseball, the other one gets softball, one gets basketball for boys, one gets girls, volleyball, and have you, and they split it up. And I think what the estimations that they went off was the number of kids that they expected to participate, was very low. So now, I'll give you an example. We spent close to $6,000 on all-star uniforms, just alone, for both softball and for baseball. And for that type of expense for a department like ours, as far as budget-wise, it's a hefty expense.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's something, luckily, we did the sponsorship fundraiser, the awards, that really kind of helped us out to kind of, make it through the season, to where we are now.
My last question to you is, when the contract's up?
I believe, Carmen, they are up there, correct? Yeah.
So what you're saying is that these two vendors that we're using, their contract's not up till next year?
Is it,
What we did, we brought it before the commission on a 3-year contract, visiting it once a year. this up next year, well, we have to get it out on next year, so that you can start October first of next year. Now, the problem here is that every time we go out for bid, we only get 2 or 3 vendors that will bid on this kind of uniform.
Really? Yeah.
One suggestion made, Mayor Pro Tem, and I spoke with Ms. Gonzalez about it, is that essentially just going to per sport, every sport that we do, that we just go out for bids, competitive bids. You know, we can do sealed bids and go out for baseball. We'll go out for sealed bids, X amount of shirts and caps, and then do it per sport instead of doing it per vendor every year, because then it kind of ties us in to that price when maybe somebody can be a little more competitive. I mean, that's where I believe we can maybe save some money for things like the All-Stars.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So that may be something that's something that Mr. Arona and I have talked about extensively, about how we can try to cut cost and really stay within our budget.
We're a little off the fest now.
Okay,
But I appreciate it, Mr. Ponce.
okay.
Thank you. Under C, presentation on departmental reports for Parks and Recreation, Planning, Zoning, San Juan Memorial Library, and Department of Sanitation. Any questions on any of those departments?
Mr. Ponce. As far as baseball and softball, what's the status? How many teams do we still have participating?
Right now, Commissioner, there's only one team that's advanced. It's the opponent team. They've actually advanced to Louisiana tournament. It's the regional tournament, I believe. And they placed third place 2 weekends ago. Yeah, and so they're the only team that's left that's actually moved on.
And are we helping them financially?
Well, what we had said as far as traveling and paying for expenses was that as team advanced, they would have to get first or second place in order for us to pay for their expenses, and that would be essentially something that we I guess learned from last year, is that the way Pony does it, they allow the first through fourth to advance, and that was last year. And then this year, there's some division, they allow first through fifth to advance. And since we don't have the budget to accommodate all teams, especially you say if a team gets third or fourth, they're less likely to advance, you know, in their next tournament if they don't place in the top 2. You know, that was a rationale that we used at that time with Chief Gonzalez, that for this year, we would set it to where the teams had to place either first or second, and that we would fund them. And essentially, that would consist of renting four hotel rooms and paying a per diem. There was a set per diem, and paying the gate fee, the entry fee, which every tournament, as they advance, you know, the fee goes up. So at this point, if we were to follow the standard that we had set, we would not be paying for anybody's expenses. As the team got third place, I know we have been approached and they have asked us for assistance, but of course, there are some other teams in this past round that got third and fourth, and they paid their own way because we would not pay because of the standard that we set. So that's kind of where we're at this point.
What was the cost on that, Mr. Ponce?
I believe the cost for, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, for what?
For them paying their own way. So they're paying their own way. Are you talking about the entry fee, or?
It was primarily the tournaments were in Harlem, so they just paid their entry fee, which I believe was $500.
$500?
I believe it was between $300 and $500, I think, depending on the tournament.
And how many paid their own way?
I believe there was 2 teams.
2 teams?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Is there any money in the budget to help this team?
Really, we don't have any budget for baseball alone. So far, including money that we raised, we've spent over about close to $75,000. That's almost double, triple some of the other sports that we have. And what I've had to do is I've had to make some adjustments to get to where we are now to cover the cost, specifically with the uniforms and then the paying of umpires. The operations and the overhead we have is pretty expensive. So at this point, we don't have any money as far as left in our budget for baseball or for travel.
Now, considering that you say you paid 75,000 out this season on baseball, is this the activity that has the most participants?
No, it's actually one of the top ones. I'd say it mirrors basketball. Basketball has about the same number of participants, and of course, I think both with our boys and girls basketball program is pretty sizable. Soccer has a lot of participants. I would say this is one of the top two programs. But for basketball, we have $25,000 allocated. We spend about 27 because of the cost and so forth.
I guess the difference would be that since you guys are sanctioned through Pony Baseball and there's tournaments, the expense is
The Pony increased their fees quite a bit. So, we have the mid-season tournaments, the uniforms, and again, the cost of umpires. It's really the overhead, like, have the scorekeepers, the equipment that we have to purchase every year. It gets costly. I'll give you an example. Just with the uniforms, we buy a set of, we spend about $9,000 on uniforms for volleyball and for softball and baseball, and then we turn around and spend another $6,000 for All-Stars, and it's just really a short season. And then, of course, like the entry fee for this tournament that's coming up, where the Pony team is traveling, is $500 just the fee itself. And since it's in Louisiana, there's travel involved, so obviously, they need money for gas, they need money for meals. The tournament was over a 6-day period, so it's hotels for 6 nights. So that's why it's costly. We just went to Laredo, and we spent, I believe, about the two teams. We sent 3 teams to Laredo, and it was roughly about $2,500 each team that we spent. So it's just the costs are it's costly.
When's the date, Mr. Ponce, for that tournament in Louisiana?
I believe it's the last weekend of July.
Last week.
Mr. Ponce, can you look in doing those bids for 2 year? I think so when you lock them 3 years, there's no there for savings, because if you want to cut your budget or something, or you have more kids, you're locked into that. That's not competitive, because you're not, if I get it for 3 years, I don't have to change my price for 3 years. So how can we, if business is down, people will be eager to bid lower. If you got only 2 bidders, but it doesn't make a difference, because those are the same 2 bidders are going to come every year. So why lock them into 3 years? Why doesn't, that would not give you a chance to cut your budget or do something on your budget, because you already committed to them at that price? Yes, sir.
The 1 year with,
Yeah, because I was going to say, in that market, there's so many companies out there, these T-shirts, and they're out to, obviously to make $1, so,
they just need to bid.
exactly, and I know that we can save some real serious money there, so.
For, and I know that I've had complaints about some of the, one of the members' teachers that have, documented. That would be great.
Well, we'll just have Mr. Villalobos over,
Generally, they will have an out provision. They're supposed to have a funding provision. And because even if it's 3 years, usually you can get out anyway. So.
But we'll
And
look into it
We're
definitely.
talking about this, about bidding. If it's the amounts, just quotes all over the place. So.
We want to have a 1 year, and where we have the options to roll over, where it's benefits to the city and to the program, not to the vendor. And that's what I would like to see. The school districts orders 100,000 T-shirts for all the schools, and they don't lock in for 3 years. They go year to year. Every year we bring a bid, we look for the best bidders, and if only 2 are bidding, we look for more vendors to come in and try to bid in our program.
Will do.
Mr. Juan, is there a possibility of getting some funding? I personally would like to see maybe even a couple of nights to help them out with that expense.
We can definitely look into that. And,
Actually, it also depends, what teams are these? What teams are these?
The pony team,
But the All-Stars?
it's the
or-
all-star team, yeah. They're going to Louisiana,
Okay, representing the city.
the city, they're representing the city, yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, that is a little bit different than.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a league team. I have a breakdown of the costs, and I can send that to I'll have Ms. Gomez send it to the commission of what the cost would be for this trip. Roughly, if going off of what we usually do, it's about $4,500.
I'm willing to put down 100. I challenge the rest of us to put 100 individually.
Count me in for 100.
Mr. Garcia?
300.
300? How about you?
I can probably raise you $1,000.
Okay. Okay, commitments, 200 from Mayor Pro Tem, I give 100. Mr. Villalobos, 300.
Garcia will raise $1,000.
Will raise 1,000. And you, sir? 100. So I think that should help you all out. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $1,700. We should have it by when? Give it to
I
you
think they
tomorrow.
need it pretty quick.
End of the week?
All
right.
Come on a check you make to the San Juan Parks, or?
We needs to go to park.
Yes, then we can turn around and pay a portion of the hotel.
You know,
Or
maybe-
we'll get with the team and we can say.
Yeah, I was gonna
what do you
say,
want-
maybe
what do you
get
want this
with
to go?
the,
Yeah.
Gonga, Mr. who's the head coach, and figure out, see where we can meet halfway, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not pay per diem, because what I understood too is that they might be fundraising some money as well.
Okay.
Due to
Yeah, nowadays.
disqualification. Due to the disqualification of the other team. Can you get that in writing?
What McKellen is saying now, that some of the players can go, but me personally, I know some of the kids that played somewhere else and then they played for McAllen. One of the own parents of McAllen turned them in and told me. So I got that call last night, I showed him where they called me from home director to let me know, and I called Raymond, but he wasn't in today, they told me he would be until Thursday or something, to let him know what was going on, you know.
Can you look into that, Mr. Ponce, please?
I can call and we can verify.
Yeah.
And then, that would then maybe change circumstances.
All right, thank you.
We'd have 1,700.
Yes.
100. Thank you very much. 1,800. We have an engineer in here also that we might want to visit, so that we don't get into the city coffers of this late, because I know. Put you down for 500. Thank you, sir. That way we don't have to get into the city coffers, because I know that we've got months ahead of us.
What's the total right there, Mayor?
You're already at 2,300. That's really good. And you wanted 25, so just find another 200 and we're done.
It's a 45.
Okay, well, we've at least
Yeah.
done more than half.
Exactly.
And I think the folks can work on the other part. Thank you. Thank you very much also, Mr. Garza
Thank you.
and Mr. Villalobos. Moving on to the status on the Economic Development Corporation, who we cannot ask for money from, but
I was going to say.
Co-sponsor.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, and real quick on the update on the EDC, we're still working with them, and it seems like this month we had a very good sales tax that came in. Mr. Garza, was it at 85?
More than 80,000.
It was like 80 plus. And
82,000.
previous months, it's been averaging anywhere between 65 to 70. This month, it came in at 80, 85. It looks very, very positive. Now, if we can get rid of one liability that we're going to be discussing, then the EDC status will change dramatically.
and will they have made up the 77 deficit? 77,000?
To clear that liability, yes, correct.
The 77 also?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll discuss that indoors along with the minutes that we uncovered on that we found.
Okay, very good. Under E, update on brush pickup, drop-off, Mr. Arjona.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, just to let you know, on the brush drop-off side, we're at 98% completed. We should be finishing within maybe by the end of the week or next week? By the end of this week. And then after that, it'll be some cleaning effort that we're going to be taking on. Also, let you know that we got an email, not an email, letter from the TCEQ giving us a fine, an enforcement fine of $75,000. There's a couple of ways that it can be, I guess, not necessarily reduced,
In lieu of,
but we can either pay it off completely, pay it in payments, the payment would probably be about a couple of $1,000s a month, or we can take on a supplemental environmental project. What that means is that if we take up on a project, then the funding will go towards that project. Now, I did ask about the tire cleanup, and because it's a municipal waste, solid waste fine that we were given, we cannot participate in that. So one of the only options was the one that I spoke to you, Mayor, about the first-time sewer connect. That's probably the only option that we have as far as participating. Speaking to the lady again. And the total cost of that project that we were looking at was at $77,000. So we're going to revisit those figures. And if it's something that the commission would like to go with, then I will need to fill out some paperwork for the TCQ.
put on the agenda next week, next meeting, please.
Okay, we'll do.
Is that it?
That'll do, ma'am.
Thank you. Under public hearings, A, hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance in the first reading for a conditional use permit to operate 2 portable food concession stands at a property legally described as Lot 2, San Miguel subdivision, located at northwest corner of Monica Street and Raul Longoria, as requested by Benedad Gonzalez. Mr. Cervantes.
Yes, City Commission, good evening. This is the conditional use permit that was denied at the last meeting. There was some confusion, and I would like to apologize to you all. The house is vacant, and Mr. Gonzalez is renting it for business purposes. And he's not going to live in the house, so the house is going to be just for business purposes. And also, Mr. Gonzalez is willing to spend the money to remodel the restroom to make it ADA compliance.
Now go ahead. This public hearing at 7:00 p.m. Are there any comments from the public for or against? Any comments from the public for or against? Mr. Gonzalez, you wanted to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I'm new at this. I'm sorry that I didn't do any research on that, and but I am willing to put it to the standards for it to be ADA approved or ADA compliance. And the building that's there is shaped like a house, but nobody's gonna live there. I'm gonna use it for storage, for the public restrooms, for the taquerias that are gonna be outside. And I did the parking lot that was required, and I did that already. And because of my lack of knowledge, I went and spent money on that, and I didn't know that this was gonna be, difficult. And I just wanna, I'm at y'all's mercy, and if I need to add anything else to it, I'm willing to, work with the city or work with y'all to, you know what I mean, because of my lack of knowledge, you know what I mean, I need some guidance on that, and I know you guys are public servants, I spoke to a few of you, and you've guided me to it, so I need that.
Well, I appreciate you coming and saying that, Mr. Gonzalez. I do hope that the planning department can work on making sure that that's provided to you when you first come in, so it doesn't get here and these things happen.
Yes.
So I'm glad you acknowledge that, that you're going to make it ADA compliant as is required.
Yes.
And you will have the information of what those requirements are. Is that provided by the city, Mr. Cervantes? Who gives them that information?
Item on how to remodel to make it an ADA compliant. We'll have the chief inspector meet with him. The property owner is a building contractor, and I think he's going to do it, right?
Yes.
So that'll make it easier.
What about a ramp?
Yes, that's going to
Also
be part of it.
okay.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah, the entrance to the house is going to have to be ramp,
exactly.
and then the restroom inside is going to have to be remodeled
Okay.
with the bars and then the space.
You.
Make that a requirement at all times, Mr. Cervantes? We
I
don't want
just
that to
had a
happen
meeting
again.
last week with a new project for a snow constant, and I told him right away, he's gonna have to have the restrooms and it's gonna have to be ADA.
Everybody's required to do that, so it's not just you, sir. But I appreciate you acknowledging what you need to do, and you're stating that you're going to take care of that. And I saw the concerns also at the time from the commission, so the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. So you are now indicated that you're taking care of that, so I don't have any other questions on that regard. Are there any questions from the commission? If not, I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing at 7:03. And is there a motion for approval as stated?
So
Is there a
moved.
second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Good luck. Under item 7, contractual resolutions, A, consider discussion on the projects for the Hidalgo County Urban County Program F for fiscal year 2017 funds. And I see, I want to acknowledge that Mr. Andrew Cannon from the Hidalgo County MPO is present here with us. And he takes care of all the monies. He helps direct, and he's in charge of informing the board as to the monies and what is being planned to for the entire county of Hidalgo. So welcome, Mr. Cannon, for being here. So, Mr. Cervantes.
Yes, on this item, in the month of October 2016, the city will be required to submit a project or projects for consideration under the Urban County Program Fiscal Year 30, which is 2017 funds. The estimated amount of funding for projects will be approximately $250,000. The total allocation of funds for the previous fiscal year was $283,695, but part of it goes to social services, if you remember. Since an engineering estimate is required, it is recommended to decide on a project or projects during the summer months. This will allow staff to work with the next city engineer on rotation to undertake all the paperwork required to be submitted by the October deadline as mandated by the Urban County Program. In your packet, please find a map that shows what parts of town qualify for Urban County funds. And also you have a list of activities that are eligible for Urban County funding.
Today, we don't have to decide
No.
on what
No,
those
ma'am.
are, right? Okay.
No. But just, I wanted to give you the map that shows that the areas that qualify is basically the areas in yellow. And also, so it could be water improvements, water sewer lines, street improvements, park improvements, the sidewalk project along Nebraska, the continuation of that project may be eligible as a project because of the school. So that's a project to consider.
Very good. I'm glad that the areas have been expanded. A lot have been reduced. And I think we continue to look at improvement of streets. I think we've got eye-openers to what we have ahead of us. So as we bring that back, when do we have to make a decision on allocations?
I guess by September at the latest,
Okay.
because I will prefer in August, because it takes some time to get engineering estimates.
Right.
So I would, if
First meeting in August?
That would be fine. We have some numbers, more concrete numbers on areas with streets that we could designate some of these monies for some of those projects that get identified.
very well,
Any questions for Mr. Cervantes? Thank you, sir.
thank you.
B, consider entering into a memorandum of understanding between the City of San Juan Memorial Library and the Health and Human Services Commission to provide internet access to yourtexasbenefits.com website. Ms. Sessim.
Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Arjona, this is an MOU from the city and the Health and Human Services Commission to provide internet access so that the residents or the patrons that come to the library and need that can register for the benefits. I have Elaine Hernandez. She's the regional director of the Community Partner Recruitment Initiative from the Texas Hunger Initiative, so she can give more
Sure,
information.
go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Health and Human Services that manages Your Texas Benefits is modernizing. It is moving away from paper applications to an online application process. Well, we know that many families here in our region do not have access to internet or computer skills. And so Health and Human Services has developed this community partner program where they sign a memorandum of understanding with community-based organizations, but especially libraries, to provide this internet access to patrons so that they can apply online. This is a non-financial MOU, and it is what is called a self-service site where anyone from the community can come in and use a computer and apply online without expecting staff to assist them in the application process. Only a certified navigator can assist a client to apply online. So how do we help then the community with this? Well, there are other community partners here in Hidalgo County that can actually partner with the library and hold events here at the library where people can come in and get assistance with certified navigators to renew their food stamps, to renew or apply online for CHIP, Medicaid, and the TANF. So this is an opportunity then to assure that there is an access point here in San Juan that is safe, that is secure, and that is open to the public.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do. Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion for approval as
So moved.
presented? Second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. We will now enter into executive session for the City of San Juan Commission. regarding the item on executive session, item A.
No action is necessary, Mayor.
Thank you very much. With that being said, we're back in session at 7:52. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. This meeting is adjourned at 7:52.